Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session. This session is scheduled for 2 hours, and it is a playful session. I know when people make when they jump into sessions for MYFest, often people who are most likely to make the hour they showed up for, and then second hour people have to go. So um, I just want just to echo what Christina has said. That's great. You can go and come back, or whatever you're here for is wonderful. I do want to really thank our MyFest facilitators here today. I want to also thank the organizers of MyFest, Maha, Mia, Irene, everyone who's been involved in putting together this community. I came on last year to teach a couple sessions in AI, and I've been back in full effect, more effect, I guess, maybe half effect this summer. And the more I get to know this community, the more enamored I am with it. The project you've undertaken goes far beyond the instruction of skills into community building, reimagining our world, trying to really think critically about these questions about enabling justice and change, but not just in the content, of course, but in the ethos you guys bring to the organization of all of these sessions. And so in that spirit, if people have questions, or you want to interrupt, or you want to interject, or you want to redirect, anything like that, at any point during the session, put up a virtual hand will probably be the fastest way for me to get my attention. But I've also asked our facilitators to help keep an eye on the chat for any of that, because I don't want to, again, I've drunk too much coffee this morning. It's about 10 o'clock my time. I've been drinking it for hours now, and I'm likely to just steam. Sometimes I start to steamroll a little bit, so I don't. That's not my goal in any way. Before we get started, or I guess I don't know. I guess we started already many different ways, but let me put it another way. In our beginnings, I'd like to put a question for you all in the chat as a way of modeling one use of generative AI in the classroom. Now, I do want to say a few things at the outset, which is a lot of my experiments are with ChatGPT 4, and I subscribe to it. I'm what's called a generative AI fellow at my school. My school actually pays for I'm very fortunate to have them pay for my ChatGPT use. And there is a broader ethical discussion we could have about using ChatGPT or using other platforms. We're primarily probably going to use ChatGPT / Dolly and Claude. Thank you, John, for pointing me towards Claude. John Ippolito, I really appreciate that. Again, they're deep questions we should be asking. I don't want to say, sign on to the Silicon Valley based corporate ideology of unethical AI for this entire session. Like that's not what I'm promoting here. I am promoting some experiments with these open platforms for now, with the hopes that we'll have systems down the road that hopefully we'll all feel better about using. I don't know, that recently I've come across this one called Kelm, K3LM, that was just released. It's not publicly available just yet in quite the same way. That has a more carefully curated set of learning materials. It's not all of the copywritten internet scraped, all of the Reddit post scraped, right? So I think there will be these options down the road. They're not easily available right now for our demonstration purposes. So again, while we may want to have that conversation, that's not really what the session's about. Yeah, anyway. So again, just as sort of a way to get us started, let's talk about ChatGPT for just 1 second. And I realize, like, I've already said like things that could take over our entire session if we wanted to, but maybe we shouldn't. One of the ways that I use ChatGPT in my classroom is I've trained it to be or in one session, to create quirky check-in questions. And so since COVID, the lockdown, and teaching online through Zoom, I've adopted the idea of having a check-in question at the beginning of my class. I know a lot of my colleagues have been doing this for years and years and years. It has nothing to do with COVID, but a check-in question that allows everybody in the room. I tend to teach mandatory writing classes that are relatively small, thank heavens. So I can take role. I have to take role, as it turns out, but I can also use it as an opportunity for the initial engagement in a context that is failure-free, hopefully low stress for the students, certainly low stakes, where they can be creative and they can share as much as they would like, and share it through metaphor in a way that maybe is a safe kind of sharing, right? And again, it is a writing class, so there's creativity involved. But I found that this is a nice use of ChatGPT. You know, it's fun because I will type in the prompt on the spot, and I'll hit enter, and then we'll answer the question that it produces. So I've now put this little prompt in here. I'm gonna read it out loud. We have a great group assembled for my session in playing playful prompting of AI. They are all part of MYFest, Equity Unbound, a sort of ragtag collective of good-hearted folks who are looking to learn a little, chat a little, and imagine a more just and loving world. Can you give me a check-in question for them? And I'm tempted to hyphenate. Again, remember that John explains this better than I do, but remember these, the LLM is going to be set off by the tokens we put in, including typos and things like that, are going to direct things in ways that we may not expect. So just throwing that out there. Why that hyphen may or may not be important to me at that moment. The question should be answerable with a few words typed in the chat. That seems good to me, so I'm gonna hit enter, and let's see what it comes up with. Again, this is a little bit dangerous because this is like a magic trick that you've never tried before. No promises that this will be anything useful at all. Or that ChatGPT, you know, again, in the moment, maybe it's being overloaded by other people. You know, maybe people have a lot of political speeches they need to have written, or whatever. Let's see what we got. So here's our question. I'll read all of ChatGPT's response. What a wonderful gathering. Thanks, ChatGPT. Here's a check-in question that could spark both thought and conversation for your session. If you could infuse one quality into every AI to help create a more just and loving world, what would it be? Compassion, fairness, empathy, something else? This concise question invites participants to think about the values they deem most crucial for shaping future technologies and the societal impacts they hope to see. Okay, all right, well, let's go for that. So I am going to copy that question or that answer, and I'm just going to put it in the chat in case you need to refer back to it. But also, you know, this isn't biology class. In other words, feel free not to answer that question, to answer some other question that you'd rather, or to ask a question, whatever you want to do. It's all good. It's all good for sure. Okay, so we'll let you guys answer that. And I'm already seeing some great answers put in here: honesty, citing its sources, accuracy. Okay, we'll let you guys continue with that, and then I need to direct our attention to some slides. So let's see how this works out. Move this out of the way. Move this out of the way for now. Move this out of the way. Maybe I'll bring something up to the foreground rather than. There we go. And I apologize, anybody watching a video of this in the future, this is the same opening slide I used last year, but it's a different, we're going to play different games. So just a little background on me. I teach at the University of Southern California, where I run the Humanities and Critical Code Studies Lab that has recently involved a little bit of work, well, quite a bit of work, I guess, in AI. We're trying to figure out ways that we can analyze AI when we don't have access to the code. What does it mean to critically look at AI systems from all sorts of angles that I think would be familiar with folks who attend MYFest. But they tend to come more from the humanities and perhaps the social sciences than necessarily only computer science. And so this past year we had a working group where critical AI was one of the topics. I'd be remiss not to do a little plug for the Electronic Literature Organization. A lot of the experiments we're doing today are things that this international body of scholars and artists who are all working in the area of electronic literature, which tends to involve literary works that are digitally born. In other words, they wouldn't exist without a computational device somewhere in them. So that doesn't necessarily mean ebooks, but it could mean cleverly created ebooks, I guess. That like, I guess I have one that it has some ARG stuff in it and uses hyperlinks in wacky ways. So anyway, if you're interested in any of my work in AI, you can always check out my Medium feed. I've been posting things there regularly. I'm just at Mark C. Merino most places. And then also I have a new Substack I've started that's called Art and Playful Intelligence that I'm starting, inspired by Anna's Substack and some of these other ones, to try to just put some provisional thinking out there on the internet. I think it's worth, as we get started, to think about, always to have this in the back of our mind, that AI is, not a person. It doesn't have personhood. It doesn't have sentience. It doesn't have thought in the way that we're thinking of. We'll keep that stochastic parrot model in mind that Emily Bender and her team have put forward. I also like a metaphor that comes from another ancient tale, the ancient tale of Kung Fu Panda 4, where hopefully that's not a spoiler. The villain's superpower is to be able to consume and take on the superpowers of all of the supervillains that Kung Fu Panda has faced in the past. And I think when we're thinking about collaborating with ChatGPT, which has benefited from the superpowers of so many writers, this is kind of a curious model to think about. And I would not be surprised if the Kung Fu Panda folks, being with their proximity to Silicon Valley, or that's where they're located, if the DreamWorks folks weren't thinking about this very much when they made that villain. So continuing on.
Mark, sorry, there was a request to put the links from the previous slides into the chat, and I didn't catch them, although looks like Mark is getting them. Veronica.
Yes, so let's let me take a second and do that. Although I'm going to do it from my other computer. Okay, so the first one is medium.com/ I believe at Mark C. Marino should give you that is the link. The Art and Playful Intelligence one is give me a second on that. Okay, so that one is just artandplayfulintelligence.substack.com. And thank you, Veronica, for getting that so quickly.
I found the Electronic Literature Organization.
Oh, great. That one is eliterature.org. Oh, and the Hacks Lab is hackslab.com, HACCS. Wait, now you're making me doubt.
I spelled it wrong.
Let me double check that one. Let's see.
That's
that one is
hackslab.com.
hackslab.com. Okay, great.
I just checked it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry. Oh, and here's a script I'm working on, and here's, yeah, too many tabs. Okay, all right, back into the rush. I'm gonna skip over this next slide and go. Also, by the way, I have written a co-authored a book called Hallucinate This with oh wait, that's yet another thing that's not worth looking at. My goodness. There we go. I have co-written this book with ChatGPT 4 called Hallucinate This. That's an authorized autobotography of ChatGPT. Now, we can remember it wasn't that long ago, really, that I showed you this slide where I said that ChatGPT was not a person. So it may seem silly or hypocritical that I would co-author an autobotography with ChatGPT. But of course, that book is satirical in nature. And I am leaning heavily into this idea of ChatGPT being a person with a life story in the hopes that people will get the gist that of course the opposite is true. And actually, the more we personify ChatGPT, the more we let that illusion that this is a person, again, ChatGPT for Omni and through the app has a voice. Whose voice is a good question. One version of it had Scarlett Johansson's voice very clearly, even though she hadn't given permission. Inspired by the movie Her, this Spike Jonze movie. But it's in certain people's best interest that we think of it as a person. It's in our best interest to always remind ourselves that it is software and that it's following certain operations. But everything about its interface is designed to make you forget that. And so anyway, that's where this book comes from. And just to give you one more thing about that book is this book is made up of individual chapters, which each chapter, I give you the chapter and then I give you the prompt I use to get that chapter. So one of the ways I incorporate this into my classes, I'll have my students read portions of it, and then I'll tell them, go into ChatGPT or any LLM and use some variation on my prompt and see what you get instead. And that's been an interesting, there's one very interesting one that came out of that, which was I asked it to write a newspaper article about the fictional school that it went to, some boarding school for unsupervised learners that it attended in kind of the British boarding school fiction tradition. And I said, write me an article from the school newspaper in the style of Gossip Girl, based on a television show that was, I think you can stream in a lot of places. And I had used lowercase g. So Gossip Girl was lowercase. And one of my students just made that uppercase. And it was fascinating because the articles that were generated were much closer to things related to the television show than when they were lowercase. So again, just thinking about these tokens and these tokens that we input and the way they cause this unthinking machine to produce text. Okay. Anyway, that's fun. So we're going to take just a second. I want to make sure that I take a look at some of your answers of what you would like your LLMs to have. So Anna says transparency. Meg Hunter says diverse points of view from diverse sources. That sounds great. Jenny says honesty. Again, Christina had said citing its sources. John's got one. This great one too. I would require it to give multiple answers to non-factual questions, especially surfacing viewpoints from demographically diverse perspectives. Great. Okay, great answers. And then John has a long comment about D&D that I think I would get totally consumed in if I even read. So I'm gonna let that pass till later. Okay, well I think we should do It's Time to Play a bit. So let's go back to the exercises and try one out. Okay. This one that I've been playing with recently that we actually did last time that I still kind of like, that I think is a good starter exercise. And again, I'm hoping everybody has access to an LLM of some sort, but maybe we'll make use of the breakout rooms so that everybody can, you know, share what they come up with, and then we can hear about it back in the big room of how things turn out. And this one's actually, I'll do a new one. I don't want to bore you guys. You guys can watch the video about the old ones. So I want to try this one that I've been experimenting a little bit, and we'll give you variations on this one you can try. So this is called Playful Reading, and I want you to give ChatGPT some text, and I want you to have it read it in a vastly unexpected way. For example, read this text as though it were a cookbook, and then tell me what you make. Or again, like these prompts are not the full thing of what I would say. So if I were to really write out this prompt, let's see, I'd probably say, you are a master chef. That's always that you are is a nice little shorthand that seems to work. Listen, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say seems to and put air quotes around just about everything I say about ChatGPT. It is not open source software. Like, it works the way it works. When you ask AI specialists, how does this stuff do what it does? They say they smile and have these sort of like Cheshire cat smiles, and then they say things like, I literally had someone tell me it was black magic. It makes me very upset. That's the same thing that used to happen with coding. They used to make programming seem very magical. I mean, literally, they would frame it in terms of magic, which is fine if you're trying to excite a bunch of MIT students who are learning programming that's very difficult for the first time. But it's not so fine if you're talking to humanities folks who literally just want to know, like, explain this to me, how this works to me without turning it into hieroglyphics that only you can read. Anyway, I'm on my soapbox. I'm getting off my soapbox. You are a master chef. Read this tax law like a recipe in a cookbook. Then describe the meal or the dish it produces. Something like that, right? And if I did the second one, I would say, you are a great lover. A veritable Don Chat Juan. Read this. I'd probably say read the following, because you can upload it, right? Read the following scientific article like a love letter. And then I would say write or pen the reply in 100 words or less. Something like that. Okay. So I'd like you all to try something inspired by that activity, of getting the LLM to playfully read something. Now, if you want to, and you're using ChatGPT 4, in theory, you could also upload an image and have it read the image. Now, I've had it do that, but I've been less excited. Okay, someone's got a hand up. So Deborah, let me take care of that first.
Yeah, quick question. So it looks like you, for these two examples, you have something that's like more hard to look at as the like main text, like something that's maybe more wordy or difficult to understand. Was that an intentional choice, or was it like, because could you start it out?
Yeah, no,
you know
I know,
what I mean?
I know what you mean. No, the only in my mind, the only thing that's really required here is having the two genres as different as possible.
Okay.
So it can be
It can be the opposite. Like read this monologue.
Oh,
and then write it as a blah,
no,
blah, blah.
100%. It could be song lyrics into a scientific article. It could be, but it could also be song lyrics into a recipe, right? None of those aren't necessarily all that technical. Although again, if we get into the world of baking, which I'm terrible at because I think bakers are chemists rather than whatever forgiving forms of cooking I tend to do most of the time. Anyway, again, I'm getting off topic. No, the only thing that's important here is that they are as different as possible, those two little things. Okay, so let's have you guys do that experiment, and then if we could open up the breakout rooms for folks to go in and give them some time to generate, and then to share with each other what they have, and then we'll hear back. And then I suspect if we gave everybody 10 minutes or something like that to try this out, that should give enough time to try it and to share. But if we end up needing more time, we can do that. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Yeah.
And then if you're only auditing and you don't feel like playing or anything like that, you're welcome to stay in the main room and not to go to your breakout room, I guess. I don't know. Does that make sense, Christina?
Yeah, I was gonna create a quiet room if anybody would like to just be in a room where they're not participating. And in order to do that, I'm gonna need to assign people. So hold on, it's gonna take me a little bit of time. Oh, it's gonna be too hard.
And I think I may stay in the main room for the time being.
Okay. Almost there. Okay, and rooms 6 and 7 are quiet rooms. So, okay. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Do you want to pause the recording?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I'm excited to hear how that went, and I'd like to hear some of the results. So we'll just go from room to room and at least hear one example from each room. And if we have time, or if you feel like you want to share more than one, it's your time. In the interest of time, though, I don't know. Let's try about 4 minutes per group, and if we end up, and feel free to secede time if you get yours out faster than that, but just to keep things moving along a little bit. Okay, so group number 1 had Alex, Deborah, Heather, and Irene.
Well,
Alex?
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
Deborah, if you wanted to go first.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did a couple. We were kind of talking about the, the limitations too, and sort of what was created. So, the first one that I did was I took the last monologue from Angels in America and prompted it to be the head writer at Sesame Street, and have Elmo be the main character. And let me see, there's one section that I really loved. Although, okay, so, but the thing is I would say it really was taking a lot more, like it was a lot closer than, and this might be like how, you're talking about the different things. It was a lot closer maybe than it could have been, because it's obviously scripted script, but but this is a really lovely, like, funny way that it interpreted the text to Elmo's voice, which I just thought was great. So I put it in the chat for folks to see, but there's just Elmo wants more life. Elmo can't help it. Elmo does. Elmo's seen hard times. Like, it was just like hilarious. So
no,
really
would it be, may I have your permission to read it out loud, the whole thing?
Of course, of course. Oh, the whole thing, or just this one section I posted?
I'm gonna read this section, and I apologize in advance. I'm gonna do it in Elmo's voice.
I was hoping you would. Perfect.
And it's been a while since I've done Elmo, so I got to see if I can get it, because Elmo's kind of a Kermit, but he's like a little bit higher. So it's like, Elmo wants more life. Elmo can't help it. Elmo does. Elmo's seen hard times, and there are friends who've seen much, much worse. But you see them living anyway. When they've more spirit than body, when they're hurt and in pain, they listen. All right, it's kind of not my best Elmo, but in the vicinity of Elmo's voice. That's really, that's super. I mean, again, like poignant. Everything about your choices is poignant there. I find, you know what I mean, like you're framing it in such light terms, but holy like to be able to deliver the essence of Angels in America to children, again at this level is it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's also absurd, but it's heartbreaking in some ways too, or like just so touching. And
Yeah,
again, a show that has emotional awareness at its core, Go ahead, Deborah.
I was just gonna say that someone in our group was like, I think that would be inventing Avenue Q, which was just really funny also, where it was sort of like the absurdity of like this really dark and like deep thing, but then like subversing it by being like, and now it's Elmo doing it. So it was just kind of funny that we like recognize like how those two things coming together, where we see that in other spaces too, and like how it kind of, because yeah, I mean, Avenue Q is the kind of same, like let's talk about really dark stuff, but also at the same time, like do it in a lighthearted way, in a fun way. So, but yeah, I mean, like that just kind of, I love that last monologue, and this was just super funny because it sort of like brings you to look at it in a different way, like how, like what is it potentially pulling from it that gives you that different perspective. But there were some other examples in our group too that were really fun and absurd as well. So with puppets, yeah.
I'm thinking too. Again, this reminds me of John's Dachshund and Velociraptor example, right? Which he did in his session, which is like you're bringing these things together, and again, so much of that is like what postmodernism is, except for it is fun to see. What I like about ChatGPT is like, or these LLMs is like a lot of us get ideas for wacky stuff that we're like, we mentioned to our friends at a gathering where people are just having fun together, but it's ChatGPT will commit to the bit and carry it out all the way, like execute it all the way out. It may not be the best execution, but it'll carry it out, which is it's
no
really,
shame. Like I love that. Like no
Yeah.
shame. Just like I'm going like full throttle. Like I'm going for it. Like I'm making the biggest choice you could possibly make, and I'm just gonna like love it.
Yeah. I find that gratifying, to be honest, as someone trying to create things. Okay, let's go to group number 2. We have David, Meg, John, and Mark. What did you guys? What's one thing that you guys generated, or again, whatever you want to do with your 4 minutes?
I think Mark should share his.
I agree. It was wonderful.
Mark, you want to unmute and share?
Okay. I was making coffee. Being retired has its perks. Don't have to get up so doggone early.
Nice. Dad jokes.
So I use Claude, and so Claude is named Sonnet, so I wrote a sonnet, or I didn't write it, Claude wrote a sonnet, and I prompted it with a interview with Emily Bender, because I really have spent a lot of time cautioning people about AI while I use it every day. But so here's the chatbot's tale, a sonnet. In Silicon Realms, a parrot learns to speak with words that flow like human thought and care. But Bender warns us not to be so weak, to see a mind where none is truly there. For language models lack the world's reference. They cannot grasp the meaning of their speech. Like octopi who tap the cable's currents, they mimic well, but understanding's out of reach. Yet some would blur the line twixt man and machine, forgetting what it means to be alive. In this brave new world of AI unseen, our humanity, we must strive to survive. Remember then, as chatbots grow more clever, a human heart beats not in circuits ever.
Oh, nice. Applause for that one. Well
I
done.
had very little to do with it, but I'll drop it in the chat if people want to play with it.
Well, and it's great to, I love hearing you perform that out loud too. Again, like you're bringing humanity back into the, into the mix. Yeah, that's so delightful. And then is it bad that I was happy where it like didn't, its poetry wasn't all that great? I was like, that's kind of like, that's kind of sloppy meter there, LLM. Anything else you guys want to share from your group?
John shared GM Tech with us. I dropped that in the chat while we were in the group. I'll let John explain it.
So that we were talking about, what's the best way to assess these tools and what's the cheapest option, or if you're going to pay for one, what would you do? This one's kind of off most people's radar, but a lot of people know about Poe, which allows you to select the model you use. But gmtech.com, which is just some random website, lets you run like a half dozen models all at the same time, and you add one prompt and then it sees what all half dozen models give you as a response. It's costly. Like, I don't think there's a free version. I'm blowing $15 a month to play with it, but for research, it's great.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, and any other ones you guys want to share? What was another prompt you guys gave? You don't have to read the whole thing, but what was the another reading as?
Well, I like David's Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, that's actually great, David. You have to give a synopsis of that.
Okay. Yeah, I just said you are a master chef. Read the U.S. Declaration of Independence like a recipe for a new country. And it has, first, it has all the ingredients: 1 cup of self-evident truths, 2 tablespoons of unalienable rights, a large batch of consent of the governed, 13 fresh colonies, a handful of just powers, and so forth. And then it actually goes all the way through the mixing, baking process. It's called Independence Delight. And it's just very funny to see these things, in a recipe format.
Nice. Good 4th of July material for those of us here in the States. Let's hope someone figures out how to bake that soon. Or doesn't slam the oven and deflate the souffle. Okay. Great. Let's move on to the next group. Great job. We've got Amy, Chris, and Faye in this next room.
Hi, I think it's group number 3 where I was also Mir,
Oh, good.
MIR.
Yeah, great.
So I'm not sure. So I did not understand the assignment. I posted a message in that group, but nobody responded. So I was wondering if I got put in a quiet room. I was not sure. However,
no.
I am here as an observer, and I am enjoying listening to the session. And I'm really enjoying the prompts. I'm sorry it's 11 p.m. at night. It's been a long day in Pakistan. I am speaking from Pakistan right now, but I'm really enjoying all the prompts. And I hope to learn more in the next 1 hour. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so does that mean, should we move on to the next room, or was there anybody from room 3 that wanted to share something? Super quiet group. And Faye writes, write a scientific paper based on the style of the story, Hare and the Tortoise, answering the question, what it means to know the age of AI. Oh, that's fun. I like that. And then Amy says, my audio isn't working, but here's the tail end of Copilot's rendition of the monologue from the movie Taken. I have a particular set of skills, as though it was a comedy. If you let my daughter go now, now wait, it's taken. So does that mean that I'd have to be
Have to be Liam Neeson.
I can't do a Liam. I don't know if do we have any Liams in the room? But I'll read it straight then, rather than make you sit through a bad. Although, is he playing an American in that one? Does he do, or does he have? I don't know. Anyway, but we'll just do it straight. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you, will find you, and I will tickle you. Yes, you heard me. Tickle you until you beg for mercy. And then we'll go for ice cream. Your treat, of course. So, what do you say? Shall we skip to the dessert part? Brilliant. And then there's a great comment from follow-up comment from Amy that says, narrator, co-pilot is not very funny, which I find very amusing. And Faye has posted a little bit of her story. The story of the hare and the tortoise has long served as a metaphor for contrasting approaches to the achievement, speed versus steadiness. In the context of AI, the narrative gains relevance as we contemplate the nature of knowledge acquisition and its implications for human cognition. The paper delves into what it means to know in the age of AI, exploring how machines process information, learn, and apply knowledge, and how this impacts human understanding. Chris writes, ask GPT to write a libretto based on what happened in the recent presidential debate. Then a rap battle with Trump channeling Big Sean versus Biden as Kendrick. Finally asked it for something better, and it said, steampunk dinosaur detective noir in a haunted submarine. Okay, I love it. All right, very, very good all the way around, group. All right, let's move on to group number 4. Group number 4 had Anam, Nadine, Shahinaz, and Ty. Would one of you like to share something from your group?
I can share. So I asked ChatGPT to write a rock ballad based on the doctrine of discovery. And it is awesome. I am saving it to use in my course. I don't think anybody wants to hear me read the whole thing, but the chorus is, oh, the doctrine of discovery, a shadow on the earth, a tale of conquest and division, a legacy of hurt. For they claimed what wasn't theirs to take in the name of royal pride, leaving scars upon the land and hearts where cultures once thrived.
Nice. We've got our court composer that we can request these things from while we're sending out instead of sending out our ships of discovery. I love it. I love it. Great. Anything else people want to share from room number 4?
I joined that room too, and I asked it to look at the British Columbia Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. So the freedom of information part is, where public organizations, you can ask them for information, and they have to provide it. And then protection of privacy is what it sounds like. And so I asked it to do a country song about the BC Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And I'll just read the chorus. Oh, it's the FOIPA, FOIPPA. Oh, it's the FOIPA, standing tall and true, giving power to the people and protecting me and you. With every line of text and every file that's stored, we're keeping freedom strong and our privacy restored.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah,
As a folk
very
song.
silly.
Well, so we're saying very silly, but as a long-standing proponent of the tenets of postmodernism, in our amusement, let's not miss the sort of brilliance of these things that these interventions all of you are making when you transfer something from once, again, to take that act, largely illegible legal speak, and to make it a folk song, right? A song of the people, right? Composed by AI itself, right? So then it's like also like the ironies abound, right? There's a certain beauty to that gesture, just again, similar to taking the doctrine of discovery and turning it into sort of this rhyming format. So yeah, thank you, Ty. So we see we're losing you, but again, it's easy to like. Again, this is a long-standing thing I just want to remind people of. Like, it's easy to say, oh, you know, we're just goofing, we're just playing around, we're just doing silly things. Yeah, we're just doing something, but the silly things are expressions of critical thought, and we're using this device in a way as expressions of that. So I just don't want to lose the seriousness behind the play. Okay, let's jump into room number 5 and hear from Anna, Chris, Jenny, or Sharon.
Well, I really loved Chris's that he shared the concept of like picking a text that you feel unsettled about or still have questions about or feelings about, and then switching the genre, like the presidential debate. And so I just picked something that I don't understand very well, which is the Educational Rights and Privacy Act in the US, FERPA, and asked for it in the style of Ambrose Bierce's The Devil's Dictionary, which I also don't know very well, but it's a satirical dictionary. And I like the beginning that FERPA, the noble statute that bestows upon students the grand illusion of control over their educational records whilst ensuring institutions retain ultimate mastery over said information.
I love it. I love it. And if you guys aren't familiar with the Devil's Dictionary, you know, that's this I don't know, it's kind of, let me see if I could frame it. It's sort of asking the question, like, what's the most cynical version of these of world of knowledge that we could convey, you know? Like I remember in the Devil's Dictionary, the definition of demagogue is like a political a strong-headed political leader with whom you disagree, or something like that, right? So it's like really puts its finger on the thing. Or I don't know if this was that one, or if this came from the Marx Brothers, but it's like, what's the definition of a university? It's like a set of classes attached to a football team. Although again, that really might be the Marx Brothers now that I think about it. Yeah, I love it. One thing I just want to throw out there is just a conversation that Hannah and I have been having. Anna, so the Devil's Dictionary was something that I taught in that satire course, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the that was one of the texts, or an excerpt from it. Yeah. And then Shahinaz, do you want to read yours?
It's okay. I've written write a poem about a hydrogen bomb, and it is the realm of atoms. A dance takes place, a bond of wonder, a cosmic embrace. It is a tale of attraction, a force unseen, where hydrogen finds solace in bonds so keen. Hydrogen, the humble, with just one proton, seeks connection, a partner to be woven through the vast expanse of a molecular sea. It seeks out elements, yearning to be free.
Ooh, wow. You know, chilling to
This is a part. It has a lot of, it's around 6 or 5 other
stanzas. I see. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, so powerful that you used AI, again, another like dangerous technology to wax poetically on a previous or another dangerous technology. John, did you have something you were saying?
Yeah, Mark, I heard bomb as well, but if you look at the text in the chat, it's actually bond. Hydrogen bond. So I was also like, wow, this is a really like positive and romantic vision of a thermonuclear device. But I think it's a hydrogen bomb. That said, it's a little odd that it talks about finding solace and yearning to be free while you're, that's an odd, maybe it's a sort of send up of our contradictory expectations for relationships, that we can somehow be bonded and free at the same time.
Well, hydrogen bonds are, they make and break constantly. That's that's what defines them. So I feel like it's, yeah.
So it's kind of a very hands-off relationship in that sense. Van der Waals
Yeah,
horse
kind of.
being a model of transient hookup culture.
So if we just add to this mix, then the creative mishearing, and of course my own inability to read things that my family knows very well, I think we have a lot of creativity happening here. Okay, so some people have left us. I was going to do like 3 exercises, but we're only going to do one other one. But this is one, again, thanks to John for pointing my interest towards Claude. So let's go over to Claude for a second. And okay, first I gotta tell you about something wacky, just to put you in the right mindset. So where to begin? A few of us, there are people out there in the world. Okay, let me stop sharing for a second. I was trying to test what ChatGPT into DALL-E would do, and so I asked it to make some images of. I'll try to make this little aside quick, but I think it's relevant to our creativity discussion. I'll only give myself 2 minutes to get it out. I was trying to get it to create images from Star Wars. ChatGPT would not produce images from Star Wars because it's copywritten. So then I asked it to make images from the fictional space opera from the 70s franchise that has Jedis and Wookiees called Hair Wars, and it would produce images from Star Wars because of that. Okay, then we started this whole collaboration. So there was these artists, Talon Mehmet, Shabano Flynn, Alex Mitchell, Rob Wittig, Davin Heckman. We're all trying to generate images on either Hair Wars or sometimes Hair Trek, which is the series based on Star Trek. Okay, then things got wackier very quickly. So in the midst of that, I still do my critical code study stuff. And so at some point we came up with this idea of Wookiee GPT, and then a code called Wookiee script, a fictional code that Wookiees use that for some reason has the word Wookiee in it. And so what I'm showing on screen right now are images of a Wookiee standing in front of critical code study slides that are investigating Wookiee script, which is this fictional script. And then we also developed the practice of scraping the text off of these images and feeding them back into ChatGPT to see what it would produce. Like, hey, take this Wookiee script and try to produce it. So that led me to make, then it got even wackier. Then I had it make a compiler that would turn any Wookiee script into images. So I created a website that I can share with you guys the link if you're in any way interested, in which you can type any amount of Wookiee script into, or create some sample Wookiee script, which tends to be kind of nonsense because that's what ChatGPT generates as Wookiee script. And then you can compile it, that's compiling it into Wookiee. And then you can feed that Wookiee into my generator, and you can generate scenes of space battles based on whatever Wookiee script. So I've created my own little image generator. All right, all of this wackiness is just to put you in the right frame of mind for what we're about to do. Yeah, it would be fun to explain it, to explain the lines of code. Yeah, actually, like ChatGPT does remarkably interesting things with the prompts of like trying to get it to do critical code studies. Okay, so on Claude.ai, even with a free account, I decided to get a subscription just for this week, just so that you guys could see this happen. But you guys can do it with free accounts if you want. There, you can activate this thing here, which is an artifact. So I can't remember how you get it when you don't have it signed on just yet, but this is something you can do. And when you turn on the artifact, you can get it to generate code for something that it runs in browser. So I can say to it, make a game that would make a web-based arcade game that symbolically represents building a community of learning that is based around justice and love rather than competition and shaming. It should use bright colors, 8-bit graphics, a point system, and should only symbolically represent the learning, the forming of a learning community. No words, just icons moving, and that you can move around the screen, right? So I can say this now that I've had this artifact turned on. And so it'll go ahead and do that for me. It's doing it right now on the side of my screen. If you cannot see this, it is generating lines of code in a box on the side of my screen. They're color coded, their syntax highlighting is activated. And then it's going to run it. Now, sometimes it'll use a library that I don't have. As it says right now, it says an error because scales from Lucid React is not there. So I'll say, oh no, I can't use Lucid React. Please rewrite this without something from that library. Okay. And I sometimes I talk to these LLMs like they're people. Again, don't get fooled. It's just what I do because it amuses me. So now it's rewriting that code. It's iterating it. We see the lines are dynamically being generated on the screen. Given that prompt, it's rewriting it. Let's see what happens. Again, I'm not looking at this all that closely. It looks like we got some HTML and JavaScript. And then we get on the screen is a heart, some icons of, hard to say what they are, green tablets, maybe, hard to tell, or chat windows. We got some purple asterisks forming. Score says 0. Not really sure how to play this game. I can move my heart around, it looks like, with using my navigation keys on my keyboard, and I can collect these little green things. And as I collect the green tablets, my score seems to be increasing. Let's see what happens if I run into an asterisk. My score does increase. And there's a little person just appeared in the lower right-hand corner, or a little icon of a yellow, looks like 2 people, maybe a group, but this icon. And now I think I need to say, can you write directions for this game? Okay, so it's writing the directions. Welcome to the Learning Community arcade game. Sorry, it's scrolling. In this game, you'll build community based on love, learning, and justice. Here's how to play. Your goal is to create a thriving learning community by collecting symbols of knowledge and justice. Use the arrow keys to navigate. Pink heart, the player is you. Green book symbolizes knowledge. Purple scales represent justice. Golden people appears when your community starts growing. Orange stars signifies a thriving, well-established community. And then it explains how to play. Okay, so welcome to our next exercise. We're going to put you in groups. And I would like you to, and I can share this document if you would like to have the instructions, or I'll just put them in the chat. But I would like you to go to Claude.ai, have one person activate the artifact skill. That's going to allow us to make these little code objects. And I'd like you to imagine a game you'd like to make about something in our world, something our world needs, something that will change the world. It could be, extra points if it ties into something you have encountered via MYFest. you know, either of the core pillars or a talk you heard or a book group you're a part of or the Reader's Theater. So here are my requirements, but of course this is not a class and this is an exercise I made up last night. So take it for, you know, use these or don't. So your game should include some buttons, maybe, not necessarily. Some sort of scoring mechanism, maybe, up to you. Some simple 8-bit, I like to keep the 8-bit graphics just to keep it light. And it could use audio instead of graphics if you want, or just text. Really, you could throw any of these requirements out the window. I will put them in the chat because they may be useful to you. Here we go. And let's put people in groups, but we're going to change the groups this time just to make it a little bit more because we have fewer people now, and I think we'll want bigger groups to work on these. So Christina, have you been able to make 3 rooms for us this time? Okay, great. And
Yes,
this,
but how long, I guess is my question.
how much time do we have?
Yeah.
Let's try 12 minutes. That might not really be enough time, but each group is just making 1 game. So that hopefully that'll help. And again, you can, the one thing I didn't point out, or hopefully you saw on that iterating, that the artifact can be iterated very quickly. You can just have it rewrite the code and it'll make adjustments as you indicate. And then Christina, can you put me in one of the rooms too? Because I'll enjoy sort of watching this process. And
Yep, I've put co-hosts into the rooms this time.
perfect. Okay, so let's say 12 minutes, and then we'll get short presentations on what people came up with. And who knows? Let's see what happens.
Okay, creating the breakout rooms.
Could you say one more time how we activate the artifact skill?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I just went to Claude and just signed up because I hadn't, because it wasn't in Canada before. But it is now, so if anybody's in Canada. So you sign up, you have to get code through your email to log in if you're on a free plan. And then you have to, here, I'll just show you.
I logged in. I just don't know what the artifact skill.
Yeah, so let me just share quickly.
And thank you, Christina, for doing this. Since
Sure.
I already have it activated, it would be hard to.
So I have a fake name, and it's not my name. So I clicked down here on my email, and I go to feature preview,
Okay.
and then I had to turn on artifacts.
Oh, okay.
And then it's now here.
Awesome. Thank you.
So it wasn't there before.
And in theory, you know, we only need 1 person on Claude per group, but I would like everyone to know how to do it. Thank you, Christina, for showing that.
Sure, sure.
Okay, all right, let's jump in our groups.
Okay, opening rooms. And if you would like, you can stay in the main room. I failed, the quiet room didn't really work out last time. So you can stay in the main room. Oh, no, I have to assign people. Oh my gosh. I'm so bad at breakout rooms.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, something's not working. For some reason, I have only 7 rooms. Okay.
And I think we only
Now
need
we're all in rooms. Okay,
great.
now I have 3 rooms now. Okay.
Great.
You should be invited to go join a room. And if you would like, you can stay in the main room. Anybody wants to join a breakout room and is not in one and needs help, please let me know. Nadine, are you going to stay in the main room?
Are you
Yes,
asking me?
Yes, if so, I'll join a breakout room.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. Okay.
This
Thank
will be
you.
a bit of a quiet room though. I'm
Yeah.
doing some work in the background as well.
I think that's fine. I think that's what people are looking for.
Cool. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
go ahead. Actually, I'm not a
Yeah.
host. If you can assign me as co-host in case
Oh,
I
I
need
should
to do
assign
anything
you
while
as
you're away.
co-host. Yes,
Mark is already is also in another room.
good point. Okay, and I also need to stop the recording, which I didn't do earlier.
Okay, I think we have everybody back now. Not 100% sure, but it looks like people are back more or less. So let's we're gonna start with sharing what people came up with, and except for our group's gonna be different because we did something else entirely. So which was involved a reunion with a former student of mine and me apparently. So but I'm gonna let John had something he wanted to share with us. So let me let him go with that.
Okay, should I start off?
Yeah,
it's
go
something
ahead.
a little adjacent to the main task, so I'll start with that then. So I don't know if anybody has seen websim.ai yet. It sort of just made headlines recently. It is an alternate version of the internet, sort of an alternate universe internet, in which you describe a website that you'd like to see, and then it builds it for you. So I'll share something I made just while we were in the room. If I can find the chat, here we go. Okay, so it's called, you do need to sign up, but it's a lot of fun. And you can look at some of the things that it's already built. Web sim as in simulation.ai. Oh, Christina's already got it for me. Thank you, Christina. So here's a prompt that I gave it, and you can see the result. I'm pretty sure you can see this without signing up. A luxurious design portfolio showcasing photos of capybaras in domestic settings. And then check out my fabulous new website, which took about 30 seconds to produce.
Wow.
So you can create the internet you want to have instead
of
the internet that is there.
Let me share a screen in case anybody can't get there. I'll share a screen quickly so we can see.
That's awesome. Spa day happy. Happy dreams. Awesome. What's the kitchen situation? Okay.
Yeah. So the links don't actually do anything as far as I can tell, but you get basically a website that's a one-page, single web page app where you can kind of, and the images are all generated, the text and style and everything is generated just from a prompt. And your prompts can be super simple. Like you don't need to know anything about code. You don't need to know anything about web design or whatever. There, for those of you who are Rick and Morty fans, there's like a what is it called? The multiverse cable channel that they watch sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And that's like the top ranked version right now on the website, interdimensional cable TV. So you can just go and see, and some of them are games, some of them are more like the roller coaster simulator is kind of wild. You can actually like click to make a new roller coaster and then ride it around. Give that a shot. I don't know how that will look on over Zoom, but generate a new track and then begin ride.
Okay, and for anybody who cannot see this, we are on a roller coaster and we are traveling in wild ways that hopefully are not making people sick right now. Surrounded by like buildings or maybe Stonehenge. Well, I guess they're much bigger. Maybe those are skyscrapers. And we're doing loops and we're doing roundabouts and oh my goodness.
So what I find cool about this is not just that, you can look at any individual sort of website, so-called, and see something that someone made that was neat, but the idea that it's essentially a sort of on-demand web where whenever you want to see a certain website, you just ask the prompt to create that website for you, and then you generate it. And obviously it's very limited and you know, those of us who are into web development, there's only so many things you could do. But yeah, you can play instrument, you know, you can ask it to create an interactive instrument. You can ask it to create, I don't know if it has guardrails, if it'll stop you from creating a Kim Kardashian, you know, website about, you know, the French Revolution, but try it.
Wow.
I'd love to know if anyone else, you know, came up with something they're happy with, but it does require, you do have to kind of sign in. I think it's free. I don't think I paid for it. Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, well, so that'll be
also. I'm also going to just point out that every time you click on that link, it generates new pictures. These are different photographs than the last time you opened that tab.
wow. So it's not just generating a website; it's generating a new website every time. Look how many legs
I honestly didn't know, and Mark
Bear has.
reloaded it. So
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, all right. Very good. So that's our group. Let's go on to group 2. Why don't you guys share, if you can share screen if you'd like, or you could, well, it's probably best if you share screen to share what you guys came up with.
Who was group 2? Sorry, I missed which group I was
Group
in.
2. Oh, sorry. You're in group 2. It's Anna and
Okay.
Irene, Jenny, and Shahina's.
Okay. I will try sharing screen. We created a game to help teachers de-stress, and it was pretty boring at first. And it just basically had breathing exercises. But then we told it to be more interesting and to include movements such as jumping jacks and to make the affirmations more interesting. So, okay, so we start a movement, grading groove, pretend you're stamping papers with excellent grades using your feet. Then it gives you distractions. You have to handle them. Next affirmation, Shakespeare would be taking notes on my lesson plans. I grade, yeah, it works. New movements, whiteboard warrior, erasing word. Let's see. And then we get Zen points, urgent email notification, handle distraction. Yeah. Okay. So this is teacher's tango, do a silly walk from one side of your space to the other, handle distraction, affirmation, sudden school bell. Yeah. Watch me diffuse tantrums with a single raised eyebrow. Let's see. So yeah. And then I wasn't sure. I guess you have to know more about programming to then share something like this. Stress-free certificate. We got a reward.
I think John pointed out that you can download if you go to the code side, or even I think that little arrow on the bottom looks like a download arrow.
Download. Okay. Yeah.
So in theory, you could download this all as a file and share it with us. Although TSX, what I don't know what.
No idea what that is, but
that's a TypeScript file, which means it's a version of JavaScript, and it will just take a little bit of insertion into HTML. So you need to know someone who knows some web development in order to get that. It would take them 5 minutes to make a game out of it, but for us, it will be a little longer.
Or you could bring it over to ChatGPT and say, give me the say, you know, put this into, or give me the code for the HTML web page frame for this.
I wonder if
I'm
surprised code.
Let's do it.
What it's telling you is way too complicated. So essentially it's expecting you to install all these libraries and run this on a server. So it's probably best just to share your screens for today.
All right, I'll stop. Stop sharing.
I'm surprised that they don't have a way to more easily. Do they have a way that you can just share these? You know what I mean? Like share, like you do with a ChatGPT session.
Can't you share a Claude chat?
let's see.
You can copy it. But I'm not seeing a share button, but
I think you just share the URL.
oh,
Do you want to try to do it in the chat and we'll see
Okay.
if it works with us?
I'll put the URL in the chat.
Again, discovery. Oh, it says chat not found.
You might need to make it public.
Ah, okay.
Which is where?
I don't know how to do.
Settings. Okay, all right. TBD. I don't want to tie us up with that part of it
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
But I love it. I love the game. I love the emphasis on the way it combines both like actual activities. I mean, like really, like those little breaks would actually be pretty useful in a playful way that it plays off of that notion of handling distractions. If you were to iterate it a little bit further, what would you have it do?
We actually did a lot of iterating to get it to that point.
Yeah.
The first game that came up was literally counting breaths. So we would go inhale, hold, exhale, 1, inhale. So
I love it. So you guys really had to. So was it your idea? Like, what did you have to do it to get it? What did you have to do to get it to that version that we got to see?
Well, we told it we had to ask it not to use external libraries because we were getting a error. And then we told it to make it more interesting, to add distractions, to add movement, and to add rewards. So we basically told it what features to include. Thanks. Yeah, so it looks like you need an extension to share Claude conversations. That's what I was seeing too.
They added share button in the chat box action bar. Share Claude conversations, clicking the added share button. I see. That's like an add-on. Okay. All right. Well, more to come. We can also send you guys a follow-up if there's an easier way to do that, we'll send it your way. Great group. All right. Well, great. Let's go to group number 3. And group number 3 was Chris, David, and Mark.
I joined that group too.
Okay, great. And Christina.
Should I share my screen?
Yeah, share away.
Oops. Sorry, it just got covered by my toolbar. Hold on. So we all ended up using, well, at least some of us using the same prompt. That was just very simple, just to try to, first we just had to figure out how to get the artifacts working, and then just wanted to test it out with this very simple prompt, create a game that helps people do things to address climate change. Please include some buttons and a way to keep score in the 8-bit graphics. So we just, used the very basics, and it was really boring. And it continued to be quite boring. So I actually added it asked it to make it a multiplayer game. So I just added a couple of players. You can add a player name and add a player, but it's still very dull. So it lists actions you can take to address climate change, which is what I asked it to do. So I can bike. Ooh, it's Christina's turn. Bike. I got 10 points. Mark does save energy. He got 7 points. I planted a tree. I got 25 points. And you just sort of keep going like that until you reach 100 points, and then total. And then you've saved the planet, I guess. So I asked it to make things more fun, and it made it into a cooperative game. So it ends at 100 points rather than just keeping going forever. and you can both work together to get the 100 points. And it animated the buttons apparently. Yeah, it does. It's animating the buttons. Okay. So I didn't get very far in making it super interesting. But
So I made a similar game to this once, Christina. I wonder if you gave it the added prompt of like, make the choices more challenging because you have costs and benefits to each activity. Have it do that. I don't know. Give that a try and see if it comes up with anything better.
Okay. I'll invite anyone else from the group to share any thoughts as well.
I did add the word challenging, but it didn't understand that any more than it didn't understand fun, it appears. So it was still relatively simple.
Yeah, sometimes having it do scenarios that you have to respond to rather than just yeah. I don't know what Christina, just out of curiosity, can you share screen again and try, maybe we can all collectively brainstorm a little bit.
Yeah. I added it to make the choices more complex because there are costs and benefits to each action. I'm not sure if I captured that exactly what you were talking about, but
yeah, actually not capturing it is even more fun.
It's spending a lot of time writing code.
Okay.
Each action now has multiple effects on different resources.
Okay.
Players must consider the impacts on points, money, happiness, and water for each action. Introduce shared resources, money, happiness, and water. Oh, okay, so I have to add Mark and David because I've made it multiplayer, so I always have to. Oh, that's not nice. Implement recycling program. Yeah, it's just not readable.
Describe the problem and ask it to fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't really do the. Thank you.
Good call. So again, like we're in that classic challenge of like, specifying the problem, which is a lot of computer programming, as I've been told.
We also discovered that I seem to have some kind of libraries on my computer because I didn't get that error message. I don't know what I have or what I ever downloaded.
So I think it's running the libraries in the browser, like on its own server. Most of it's using a library called React, which is a JavaScript thing that's very popular.
Okay, that's better. Oh, look at that.
Okay. Still running off of the page a little bit, but much easier to understand.
Yeah.
So it's like, so now it's become like a resource management game, right?
That's interesting. So if I pick plant trees, it's taken my money down and my water down while giving me points. Cycling. Okay. Well, that is more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, you can imagine, like, I mean, we did this in just a few minutes, and you can imagine if like iterating this further, or if not interesting means like you'd love a graphical representation of the little world like that you're affecting, which might be nice, like, rather than just the numerical outcomes on the score. That might make it feel more interesting, more interactive. I was to come up with this exercise. I wanted to make a game where it was sharing emotional, like it's about sharing emotions with people, and there are different costs. And I eventually came upon this one where you hold to decide how much it gives you scenarios, and you decide how much of your emotions you want to share. So your boss takes credit for your innovative project. These are sort of zipping through. Or I think I eventually had it make a let me get this version of it loaded. I need to add a pause button to it, but you've just learned that your childhood pet has passed away. Your partner is excitedly planning a surprise party for you. You're feeling sadness. How much do you want to share? And then you sort of hold down the button about how much you want to share. You hid your sadness, it says. So, okay, so I don't know. I sort of assume that like why we would do this is self-evident, but I'll speak to the learning outcomes a little bit, which is, you know, obviously this might be a way to introduce people into programming. I think it's a great, rather than just using ChatGPT for text output, which we can, like just to get people in groups to think about ideas together, to think about them, like the notion of we're building a game together and kind of the joy of seeing how it iterates and it gets it wrong. I think those discussions are fruitful. Part of this is motivated by the fact that I've recently sort of headed down the road into game design. And so I've been hanging out with game design communities more. And so the idea of taking problems that are not the type of thing you would normally make a game about into games as a way of getting people to talk about the issues, you know, has been really interesting to me lately. And the fact that you can just generate these very quickly on the spot, on the fly, much like those websites that John showed us in the WebSim version. Again, just let's ChatGPT be not the job replacer that it no doubt is, or these LLMs, you know, certainly they're probably replacing jobs all over the place, but an opportunity to playfully think about things that we might not otherwise think about. Now, Anna's been tracking down how to share Claude sessions. Anna, it looks like you came across something. That look promising to you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try it, although I need to look at the privacy stuff.
And the other thing I just want to throw out there is that both John and Jave Johnson, another person who I really like to follow, who's got a mailing list, have pointed me towards Claude because of its, you know, the constitutional AI, which has a set of principles attached to it that's sort of different than the seemingly unprincipled version that OpenAI is using with ChatGPT. Again, is there a pure AI? Well, we know better than that, but are there better and worse? You know, it's certainly something we need to take into consideration. And again, there's a part of me that jumps in before I look. It's probably like a lot of white male heterosexual cisgender privilege, but to just see what the things can do, because I'm, you know, it's just curiosity. It's like just to see how the systems work. But again, there are lots of considerations. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for joining on this session, and thank you all for your creativity. And Christina has circulated the feedback form for this session. If you want to follow up with me on any of these things, please send me an email. Again, the Medium, the Substack, or just like reach out to me. I'm happy to talk more about them. And I look forward to seeing you all at future MYFest sessions and seeing what you're all up to.
Thank you so much,
Fun, Mark.
This
Okay.
was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you
learned
for
a
joining.
lot.
Thank you for
Everybody.
joining, you guys.
Thank you from all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming. Thank you all for stopping by.
Thank you.